Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Creative Redundancy back again. The one known as CR. Echo, echo, echo. Welcome to this live with CR stream where I get to reconnect with some of you and share a few things and stories along the way. So hopefully everyone's doing well, or at least better, anyways, or at least fine. In spite of what's going on, I'll touch base on a few of those things because also it's very apparent out east. It was like it like this earlier, like a couple of weeks ago out west, which I'll touch base on, and this is why I have the Fire CR logo up on the screen right now. So let's see here. Hey, Uncle Al, how are you doing, Uncle Al? Appreciate you dropping by. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully things are going well for you, or at least in control of it. Oh, so I appreciate everyone that's been dropping by the last couple of videos and shorts and live streams that I've been posting. I appreciate it very much. I have some more of those type of videos in the works. I have a few scheduled, and there may be a premiere for the third week of June here, so next week. Not sure what day. Maybe Thursday, Friday. I don't know. Probably Friday. I think I'll premiere it on Friday. It'll probably be in the late afternoon, early evening-ish time. Hopefully around the same time that no one's doing a premiere or a live stream, so people can drop in and all that stuff. Yeah, you still alive, Uncle? That's good. That's good. Still kicking it, hey? Still kicking it. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I'm still kicking it out here too. It's very nice out, relatively speaking. It's supposed to be 86 here today, 30 Celsius. I think I may see 90 Fahrenheit, or pretty close to. It's actually already been this warm last month, technically. I mean, it's only the 8th of June right now, so it hasn't been that long, but I'm assuming I'm gonna see more of these plus 30 over 86 Fahrenheit temperatures. So for anyone that hasn't noticed some of those images or videos that people have been posting on the social media side, probably here on the YouTube side, on the news about the haze, smoke that's out east. I think New York City's the prime example, right? Nothing but orange haze. I mean, I remember seeing that last month with some of the forest fires that were happening out west here. Obviously, it's better. I wouldn't say great, but it's better since it has actually rained. I'm pretty sure there's still air quality advisories out west here, but there are more northern parts of the country right now, or northern parts of the province, and you know, Yukon, Northwest Territories, British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan. I know it's pretty bad out east, by the looks of it. What's up, Mel Mel? I see you, man. It's starting to, what? Really? Is it really? Wow, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, those guys. Yeah, yeah. Of course. Let me just highlight all these here. And come on. Thanks, Ann. Appreciate it. Oh, yeah, I bet. Yeah, yeah. I saw the videos and the images out there. It was like I said, it was like that a couple weeks ago, probably in the third week of May from last month, out west here, or many parts of out west here in Canada, in BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. Like this at that time, the extent of it was like almost like 3 or 4 provinces wide. I remember my one friend after it started to subside. It's like, is that smoke I'm seeing? No, no, no. It's actually cloud, my friend. Because if you can actually see in the distance, then it's not really smoke or haze. But if you can't see in the distance because of reduced visibility, then it's probably smoke or haze. Even if you can't see the per se color of that orange color. So something to be aware of for this coming summer. So so if you have issues with that kind of stuff or you know things related to that, take precautions, try to stay inside if you can. I guess one thing what did Uncle say in your yeah, you guys are wearing some sort of facial protection. Yeah. It'll probably help. It'll probably help limit your activities outside. You know, hopefully you guys out east will get some rain eventually for not just for the forest fires in I think it's still in Nova Scotia out east. I'm not sure exactly where it is down south in the U.S. Pretty sure there is some, but hopefully you guys will get some rain. Hopefully some cooler temperatures or more seasonal temperatures, maybe under 80 Fahrenheit, 86 Fahrenheit, under 30 Celsius, and hopefully it won't linger overly long. I mean, out west there, it was like lingering around for like weeks. It was like on and off kind of haze. Like, so some days it would be clear, more blue skies. Then other times it would just be like days and days of haze. Like, if you went outside, you'd be like, it looks like a ghost town, CR. Well, yeah, because no one wants to be outside right now. All right, no one wants to be outside in it unless they have to, or unless they gotta work in it or whatever. Everyone's just driving, windows up too. No, everyone's just using AC. No one's even rolling down the windows, pretty much, and stuff like that. I mean, I went out for a couple walks, but I had to limit on my walks. I mean, to the point where I don't usually get dry eyes, but after I went for like an hour walk, my eyes were so dry. I just come back home. I had to wash my face, rinse my eyes out, just because it was so. My eyes were so dry from that smoke, the dryness in the air and stuff like that. Yeah, I know what you mean, Uncle. Yeah, that's what I heard, Melmo, about that. What's the temperature out there right now for you? I just I gotta plug in my phone here. Is it hot? I know about this kind of 30-30 type of thing where less than 30% humidity, well, 30 Celsius, 86 Fahrenheit, and winds of 30 kilometers an hour. There's probably something similar for you guys in the US, but something I heard on the Weather Network. I was like, oh, okay. Ooh, ooh. I see. I see that comment in there, Uncle. Yeah, yeah. I know. I know you are. A pleasant 67. Oh, oh, that's nice. That's nice, right? That's about what, 17, 18 Celsius, give or take. No, that's probably 17. I'm pretty sure that's 17. Yeah, probably 17, 17 and a half Celsius. So, yeah, that's nice. Although it's still morning, technically, right? Yeah, it's still morning. So it'll probably warm up to that nice upper 70s, I guess, or low 80s. I have mostly sunny skies. I'm trying to actually tell if there's actually no. I don't think it's a haze. It looks a small amount of haze. I think it's just thin cloud because like it's kind of hard to tell at times. I mean, also if you see an orange in the sky, yeah, obviously you can tell by that, or the reduced visibility. And it doesn't seem so bad out. I think the air quality has been around like on the indicator around 3 or 4 for the last like 6 weeks. or higher. I mean, at the height of the haze, it was like at 8 or 9. It was really high, really, really high. Of course, with the weather alert statements for that kind of stuff. Oh, thanks, Anne. Take care. Hey, Anfield Road, layout and loft. In the loft. What's up, Lee? How are you doing? Virtual fist bumps, yeah? I appreciate you taking the time to choose to drop in. Yeah, at the road idea. This is for you, man. I just lost my train of thought. Just kidding. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've been kind of behind on some of the videos, some of you, because I'm also been trying to support some other channels out there in their content, and I seem to be watching a lot of gardening videos lately again. And of course, I'm trying to post up my own content, and obviously I'm doing a live stream right now, so obviously I'm not watching something while I'm streaming. But yeah, I mean, one of the things I've been realizing more and more, like, because obviously with forest fires comes heat. That's a given, right? And obviously the smoke, right? But one of the things is I've been thinking is I really need more water catchment. It just seems like it's not enough. I mean, some years it's been nice, never have to use a hose kind of deal, right? Or tap into their water supplies. Just use rain catchment water for irrigation purposes for like gardens and stuff like that. But it seems like like I noticed it back in 2021 a little bit more during the heat wave that we had, the heat dome, right? Like basically, I didn't have water for like all of July, and last month I ran dry too on it. It's like, so I've been thinking, I'm like, I need to almost like 2x double the water catchment amount. I mean, I've been trying to use the water a little bit more, how do I say, efficiently, and stuff like that. So obviously, don't water in the heat of the day unless absolutely necessary, obviously. And try to water during the earlier parts of the day or way later parts of the evening, so the water doesn't uh, evaporate so much, right? So the water kind of soaks in a little bit more. I've been trying to like not just splash the water on, but just kind of get the water around the roots where it really needs it the most, right? And that water like this like empty spot that has like nothing growing in it, right? I need the water where the roots are, right? As long as the roots are nice and cool, hydrated, all that stuff, they'll be able to handle this kind of heat. But if it dries out, then other things can happen. Maybe it might bolt or wilt or whatever. Take care, Ann. Like I said, I appreciate you taking the time to drop in. So yeah, I mean, I'm still trying to grow stuff, and I think let me change my camera angle here. Let's see settings. I mean, yeah, it's still going. It's still going. I think I have to replace the water in this real soon here. Actually, I think I'll just do that right now since I already have it out. Put some fresh water in here. It's been growing though. I have consumed some of this green onion. I think, yeah, some of it's seen better days. Well, like I said in the previous live stream, that one of those is actually in soil. The rest of the bunch are just in water. I've noticed there is a difference. Like I know I keep this one inside, the one I just showed you. Another one stays outside, but there's like a different, 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 a definite, there's a for sure color difference in terms of like how dark green it is. This one that I should just showed looks more like a light green color ish. That one I have outside, sitting outside, which actually I think I can. Yeah, I can see it. It's more of a darker green. So something you would see like broccoli type of dark green versus what I have over here, which is a lighter lettuce type of green. So yeah, the one I have outside is growing quite nicely actually. I just gave it some water today. So although that was back at like 7 o'clock in the morning, I gave it some water. It's in a container, so obviously like anything that grows in a container, you have to water it more frequently because it evaporates faster because there's less water or capacity. Not just for the soil, but for the water too. And of course, it drains out at the bottom, such. So yes, let's see here. Oh, hey LB, how are you doing? Virtual fist bump. How are you doing? You know, when I was over at your stream earlier today, this morning, I guess technically it's the morning. Yeah, yeah. I heard what you said about the sunflowers. Yeah, it's cool that you're trying that out. That's all I did too. I just tried it out. I tried it out, see if I even enjoyed it. Then I went on a bigger scale to it. So what you saw in that very short 30-50 second clip, which was pretty much a slideshow, right? Of pictures, right? Basically, I just tried like a few just to see if I would enjoy the taste and such, right? See how long it took and such, right? Then I went up on a bigger scale of it, where it was like 50. I planted like 50 in that tray. Like I know I said 7 days for it to germinate or whatever, but it can fluctuate. So some of them took a little bit longer to germinate, but eventually they will all germinate into something. And like I said in that video, you consume it before the true leaves come out. And like I said, try it out first, see if you like the taste, right? If you like the taste, enjoy it even in its raw state, then consider on adding it into like dishes and stuff like that. For anyone, I guess I could say this now. See, for anyone that's seen that exciting video that I posted, the sunflower microgreen was actually in that. You just didn't notice the little leaves because I hid it underneath, but you can see the little stems in it. Well, the stalk, the sprout, the stalk, the stem, whatever you want to call it in it. So I did cook with it once. Apparently, you can stir fry it. Apparently, if you have enough. So obviously, if you don't try this after trying it and enjoying it, you obviously make a much bigger batch of it. Because right? So you have like 10, 12 or more per day, something like that, and then you can consume that. I mean, I was having it like a little snack every so often, so it was quite nice. Let's see. Oh yeah. See, like it's, and I'll jump into what women's elder LB said after. Yeah, I think like I said, I need to up my brain catchment here and kind of hopefully get by in terms of watering or irrigation for like more than what I have right now. I mean, it's more than what our people have per se, but these extended amounts of heat with various amounts of rain. I mean, there was this one time last month where it was like oh, it's a high probability chance of showers or thunderstorms, like 70, 80%. Winds gusting. I'm expecting to see rain. Nothing. Nothing at all. Didn't see rain that whole night. I mean, it rained in other parts, but not for me specifically here. So the rain catchment never filled that one time. But then again, I've had other like where it's like 30% chance and I'm actually getting like or 30-40% chance of showers or rain, and it's just like it rains for like an hour. I'm like, what? So I guess those things happen. But if I had more water catchment, then it could buffer that a little bit more. Reallocating that water outside of the rainstorm, the thunder showers, the rain, and stuff like that to in the heat of the summer, spring and summertime when it's like right now. Mostly sunny, clear skies, high 80s, you know, 30 plus Celsius here. Yeah, that's the time I need the water a lot more, at least for the plants. And of course for myself. Yeah, that's what you said to me. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you were saying it hasn't rained there for a while. I mean, for me here, it hasn't rained here for a couple of weeks now. I did manage to get some rain and reach max capacity for the rain catchment, but it just seems like for what I use it for, especially now since I obviously have like stuff planted in the ground and stuff like that, so they need water. It just doesn't seem like enough for the amount of time that it stays hot and in between the rains and stuff like that. So I'm hoping in time to get not just a hypothetical 7 days, but hopefully 14, 21 days out of it instead. Because hopefully it will rain in between in that 2 or 3 week window. Hopefully. Even if it's for like half an hour, or I only gain like 55 gallons back or whatever, that's still better than nothing. I mean, obviously, I've mulched a lot of the stuff just so, like the tomatoes, for example, for anyone that hasn't seen that transplant video. Oh, by the way, I have another transplant video coming up tomorrow. It'll be available tomorrow afternoon. But the mulch has definitely helped tremendously because it's one of the things I learned very, very well back in 2021 during the heat dome that we had out west there, where basically it was covering like BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and touching the edge of northern Ontario and covering some of the parts of the Yukon and Northwest Territories, almost like 25% of the landmass of Canada, right? And where the temperatures got in the high 90s, like, you know, so like almost 98 here. Yeah, it's 98 here. It gets that hot here, or it can get this hot here, right? Basically, breaking record highs like every every day for almost like a week straight, give or take, and where it's like 36, 37 Celsius. Some places down south more are probably we're hotter and such, right? It was so dry. The mulch helped my tomatoes because I'm familiar with, from what I've heard, that tomatoes don't do so well if the temperature rises above 27, 80 Fahrenheit. But the mulch held that moisture into the ground longer. Like literally, I could be up. I would water like in the morning and come out, let's say at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Probably during the hottest part of the day. Usually is around that 4 or 5 o'clock time, right, where the temperature peaks at that temperature peaks at the top. And I put my finger just barely even underneath the mulch, still nice and damp, nice and cool. So the roots were staying cool and such. I didn't have any major problems that year. I think I had maybe one or two, maybe less than the amount of fingers I have on my hand, with stuff like blossom end rot or splitting of the skin of the tomatoes. So that was pretty good. That's pretty good. So it definitely convinced me about the mulching. So one of the things I did this year automatically was mulch, put something covering that soil right away, at least underneath the tomatoes, for example. They taste. It's. I'm not very good at describing taste. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, the stem part probably tastes more like lettuce, I guess, right? Because there's only basically water in there, but the leaves kind of taste have a nutty type of flavor to it. So if you're mixing it in with salad or whatever you add, you probably would taste the the leafy part a little bit more. Now I have no idea what the nutritional value, but I mean technically it's a dark green vegetable, I guess, right? Or plant. So I mean, obviously you're gonna have enough of them and such. Hey, Hook, I see you in there. Hey, Ideas, I see you in there too. Hopefully everything's going well. Sorry, I'm kind of slightly behind on chatter. Well, I mean, I'll be. I felt like mid the second mid April to like the first or May. I think I had 3 weeks of kind of transitional spring, give or take. But also in that time, I also noticed how fast my lilies grew out of the ground. Oh, by the way, they are flowering right now. So my little forest of lilies looks more like a forest of tiger lilies now. It looks very nice. I'm really hoping I can keep them going. I seem to have a hard time trying to keep the flowers on on the plant. I seem to have a hard time trying to not keep them hydrated enough. Like even during that heat wave in 2021, during the heat dome that we had out west here, the lilies. No, I provided shade. I used an umbrella. I watered it. The flowers could not handle that. So this is one of the things I said in that lily video, that these lilies tend to handle the coolness or the cold better than the heat. Because as soon as it got over, let's say 30, so let's say 90 Fahrenheit, 32 Celsius, didn't matter. They just wilted and dried out, and basically the plant's like, I can't take this. So it kind of forgo the flowers of it, right? I mean, the plant was still green, but the flowers just kind of dried out. I tried. I'm like, nah, I don't, I don't think it's gonna happen. So hopefully I can keep these around for a little bit. It's nice that when I do see them, but I'm just trying to keep them around longer. It's more challenging than I thought for me. It's easy enough to grow them or even get the flowers started, but keeping them going is another thing. Even though, like I said, even though I would water so much, it's just simply too much solar energy, and stuff like that. So, one of the things I learned. Probably skip long. Well, actually, I better not say that. I don't want to jinx it. But welcome back, Uncle. See you. Okay, women outdoor. Yeah, okay, I'll wait. Yeah, you're uploading one right now. All right. I'll keep an eye out on my subscription feed for it. I'll keep refreshing it until I see. It's like, she put it out. Okay. Right, and hopefully I'll actually have time to watch it right away. I've been trying not to just add to my watch later list. And speaking of the watch later list, for anyone that's using their phone right now, the YouTube app, right? Have you guys noticed that, like, unless they don't have a specific spot on the app now for the watch later list. Like, in your history, if you're watching your watch later list, it'll be in there, right? But if you watch videos, let's say 10, 12, whatever, right? It disappears, right? Now, originally, I had to go back into, like, let's see, the web browser and on the YouTube side on the web browser and hit the watch later, and it would come back in my history. But what I found out was if you go into your playlist, scroll down to your all the way down, or it may be the only one if you don't have any content or whatever. But it's under W for watch later, and you can go into your playlist into that playlist from the playlist icon in the YouTube app. So this is like, I was just looking at that. And I've seen some videos about that because I noticed that. I'm like, oh, so that's more, so I can gain back, actually see the watch later list. Because sometimes I'm busy at the time, so I hit watch later and try to watch it later as much as possible. Although there is some content out there that I will or can watch right away because here it's something I'm really interested in doing at the moment or thinking about right at the moment, and it just and I have the time at that time, yeah. Because usually I'm watching stuff usually when I'm eating, which may happen a lot more often lately. somehow every time I jump on the live stream, it's always that food talk. I always get hungry. I mean, I say it all the time, but I really should eat before I join live streams, like all the time, all the time. I don't know how you guys and gals can talk about food so much on your live streams. I get hungry, or not get self-hungry. Because every time I come in, I'm like, ugh, now I'm craving food. I'm putting the CR in crave right now. And such. Did I miss? Okay. No, Uncle, I can't. I'm just saying on a mobile device like a smartphone. Because usually if I was on a laptop, I'd be using the web browser, so I'll say more of it's in there. I don't have to dig so much to look up something. But it's all good. As long as I know where it is or I can access it, it's still good. Because it wasn't actually always like that. I think the last update or the last one of the last couple of updates changed that. Because it wasn't always like that. You used to be able to access the watch later list relatively, quickly. You didn't have to, you know, dig down deep for it, as they say. Okay, take care, Uncle. Safe travels. Yeah, see. Point exactly. Point exactly. Now you know how I feel, LB. Now you know how I feel. Now you know how I feel about it. I think that's why I started to grow the microgreens. I could just nibble on something, right? I actually have to make a new batch of it. I've actually haven't made a new batch for a little bit here, for a couple weeks here, because I've been doing some other things. Because I think one of the things about microgreens is that you have to harvest it before the true leaves, the primary mature leaves come out from the plant. That's my kind of understanding about microgreens. So similar to how some animals out there may consume your plants when they're very, very young, deer or something like that. So kind of makes sense. Because it's not as bitter, for example. Because I think the bitterness comes from that chlorophyll. Chlorophyll? No, not chlorophyll. Is it chlorophyll? Anyways, for the photosynthesis stuff. So I think that's where bitterness comes from. So you're supposed to consume it before the true leaves come out, as in the primary mature leaves come out. So it's about timing. Because even in that batch that I grew, it's just like it would vary the germination rate, and not the germination rate, but the timing of the germination. So it was nice because the harvest didn't all come at once, but I had to wait over days or even up to a week, right? Because some of them just took a little bit longer to germinate and to sprout out. There's something that I can consume as a microgreen. It's just like, okay. And the thing is, I never brought them outside, right? So I don't. So in theory, you probably could grow this in, probably not in shade or in the dark, but because obviously during the germination process, before the baby leaves uh, separate from the shell of, let's say, of the plant, or in this case the sunflower, it doesn't need light because until the leaves come out. So, but once it separates from the shell, right, you'll notice that it's kind of yellowish at first, right? But as soon as it absorbs the light, it'll start getting green, and then you consume it before the next set of leaves come out. The best you can, right? I mean, I had little tiny secondary leaves. It was still fine, but I don't think you want to go too far beyond that. Since I think they say starts tasting a tad more bitter. I think they said. I don't know. I didn't notice that so much. Like I said, the baby leaves kind of taste like a nutty flavor. For example, in the sunflowers. So I enjoyed it. I mean, each one to their own. But this is why I said, or should have said it in that video. But I did say in the comments, right? Try it out, right? Try out like 4 or 5, right? See if you enjoy the taste first of all. If you enjoy it, then try some more, right? Then go from there, right? It's just like anything with food, right? You might not like it, but you might like it. But try it out first, right? Instead of doing a big batch and not sure, try a few first. Understand how long it kind of takes, and because once it separates from the shell, it takes probably another day to 24 to 36 hours for that. Then pretty much you need to consume it as a microgreen. Because traditionally you wouldn't pile a bunch of seeds together, right? It'd be overcrowded. But in terms of microgreens, space is premium, so that's when you actually do it. So a little bit different from like traditional gardening, where you space out the plants, right? Because like you said, you're trying to consume this before it really gets too developed. So Cherokee, I see you in there. How are you doing? Nice of you to drop in. Oh, do you? Okay, cool. Like I said, since I grew sunflowers last year, I had so many seeds, right? And instead of just roasting them as a way to consume them, I was like, yeah, let's try out this microgreen stuff, right? Why not? I have so many extra sunflower seeds because for anyone that didn't see that sunflower video, which was really nice, by the way. By the way, that took me like 4 months of footage and pictures to compile it all together in time. But I mean, my sunflower, spoiler alert, was like 18 inches wide, and like when I removed the flower part from the stalk of it, it was like, I mean, it was still wet because the moisture content and stuff like that. But I weighed it, and like the flower part weighed like 10 pounds. Also, that's with water too, right? But it's like a foot and a half wide, 18 inches wide. It's like I was just like looking, just counting a little bit of the seeds. I'm like, yeah, I got like hundreds of seeds from that, right? And I roasted some of them, right? But then some of them I've actually made microgreens, and some of them I'm using for this year's kind of seeds to use for this year. As you will see Hint. That's the video for tomorrow. Oh, did I say that aloud? Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. One of the things I'm actually currently working. What you guys saw or will be seeing, or if you haven't seen it already or will be seeing, that's like last month. I'm recording for the stuff for this month, but it won't be available for like a couple more weeks. I'm just spreading that kind of the gardening videos out instead of doing it week by week or right away. And besides, it gives me time to set up the thumbnail for it a little bit better. Gives me a little bit more lead time in terms of like preparing it, and I can still tweak it if absolutely necessary. Because sometimes I'm just like, I'll get this idea or just get this epiphany, sudden realization. I'm like, oh, I should do this with this thumbnail, or oh, I should have changed that in that video, right? And I still have time, right? Versus that kind of rushing to put out video right away, which I'm trying not to do, by the way. I'm trying not to do that because I seem to rush too fast or make some spelling errors or something like that. And besides, it's just easier because it gives you more time to edit the content and what's proofread it, so to speak, right? Similar to like an essay, right? You know, more. It's just like when you're writing a test or whatever, right? If you have time left over, you double check, right? You double check, you spell check. You check every answer, make sure those what's that called again? Why can't I remember what's called again? Because I haven't done one since I was in high school. Well, Scantron, the multiple choice, that kind of stuff, right? You know, the teachers will always say, "Yeah, make sure you fill in the dot all the way, right? Right? And all completely erase everything. If you have time left over, double check your stuff." So I'm taking that into consideration with editing and double checking my stuff and making sure that I didn't spell anything wrong. I seem to smell. See, I'm smelling the food. I must be because I'm thinking about it. Sometimes I spell things incorrectly or phonetically, or I put the E before the I. I wish there was a C. Yeah, all this sort of stuff. Okay, Turkey. Okay, I see. I see it there. That's cool. I'll come back, by the way. Let me just have a sip of coffee here. I'm not sure. I've been thinking about doing this coffee video, but I don't know if I have enough of it to make content and how I want to approach it. But yeah, as I sip my coffee here, I was just thinking about it. Well, I mean, I mentioned this on different live streams or on panels or whatever. Although I don't think I mentioned this much on my own channel, let alone a video or a live stream. But you know, I guess you know what? Here, I'll bring this into frame here because I actually have it on the side. It's one of the things I've also been doing here. Yes. Also, you can see coffee ground. Some of the some I just made coffee like a couple hours ago. You're starved. let me just highlight that on the screen there. But yeah, these coffee grounds I've been kind of finding other ways of reusing them and such. And besides, so they don't end up in some landfill or dump or whatever, right? Like, I know some people use it like to add into their compost pile. Okay, I know some people use it as an amendment for the soil or for the ground that they have, right? I mean, usually what I do is usually, for the most part, like 90% of the time, is I just broadcast it or spread it out on the dirt. I usually do it in the fall, in the spring, in early spring or fall, And sometimes I've actually done it in the wintertime too. Because one of the things I noticed was I can't believe I'm talking about snow. But maybe it'll cool me off if I'm talking about it right now, right? But one of the things I did was like I would use it to help me melt the snow faster in the garden bed because it would be sitting on the top and such, right? So and just kind of accelerate that process of melting. Because one of the things I've been hearing is, although I haven't noticed it, but I think I have an analogy or something else that I've seen similar to that. If you put too much of the coffee grounds on the ground, or they're too compact or too thick, basically it slows the water down too much from getting in the soil. So this is why I've been spreading it out and just trying to like what's the word? Yeah, spread it out a little bit more and give it some time to break down out there and stuff. Obviously, if you have a compost pile or something along the lines of that, you would probably just add it in. But for some people, like myself, that don't particularly have one, I just kind of broadcast it out. You know, I rarely dig it into the ground. The only time I would ever try that is early in the season or at the end of the season. Because every other time, there's either snow on the ground or I have plants sitting on the top, right? So it's just something I've been doing a lot more, trying to reuse those coffee grounds. I do like my coffee. I do like coffee more. I'm kind of glad I've stopped drinking so much soda. Ugh, you know, kind of like, ugh. I rather have coffee than soda any day of the week. No, like even in the heat, I'm just like I rather have coffee than like a cool drink. I'm like, don't get me wrong. Every so often I will have one, but it's kind of a lot less than compared to when I was younger. I mean, and I've mentioned this before. One of my buddies I've seen consume like 2 liters of soda in less than 15 minutes. I was just like, dang, you know, be off the wall with all that sugar. Hey, Vanessa, how are you? We just put that highlight that. I'm not sure. I'm not trying to, Vanessa. It just appears that way. It just appears that way. You stopped at your own, dude. Hey, Chaz, what's up, man? What's up? Virtual fist bump to you? How are you doing? I guess I'll just highlight put that on the bottom. Now, if I remember how to do this here. Wait, I'm trying. How come I can't remember how to do this? Well, whatever. I'm trying to remember how to change the icon while I'm in here. I've done this before. Is it in here? Oh, yeah, it's in here. Okay. So hopefully everyone's doing well. Like I said, I'll just randomly just bring this one back in. Their channel icon. All these channel icons are based on my original icon. I just kind of tweak them. That's why they're all based on the same original size icon. That way, when I change it or use it for, let's like for example, what you just saw, right? It doesn't appear like it's the size has changed too much. It's just the color or the texture, for example. It works pretty good when I'm editing too, because since it's that same, for example, 500 by 500 pixels, it's centered. Pretty much the CNR are always going to be in the same spot. I might have to tweak it just a bit, but It's very nice. That way I can blend these channel icons in different ways. Like this right here, right? That's the water and the fire part of it. Both of them were separate. I just kind of merged it together as a collage, something words coming out of my mouth kind of thing that I can't think of. Hi, quiet listener. Good morning to you. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Yeah, and I did see your hello in in that chat. By the way, I did see it on my way out. Right, I did see it. I didn't leave right away. I took an extra 5 seconds just to see if anyone was going to say something to me on my way out. Right, because I usually wait for an acknowledgement before I actually. I'll say that I'm leaving, then I'll wait for an acknowledgement from the side chat or from the host or whatever from the panel. Then I'll leave. That way, okay, everyone knows I'm leaving. Kind of deal. Right. So yeah, I did see it. I did see it, by the way. Yeah, I think so too, Chav. I'm gonna see plus 30 today. 86 Fahrenheit today. And it's gonna be mainly sunny. Not quite clear. There's like very thin, hazy cloud. Very, very thin cloud. I mean, it's not smoke or haze like down out east or what we had a couple weeks ago out west here in Canada, but it's much hotter out, I would say. Yeah, I guess I could say that. I think about 70 Fahrenheit, 21 Celsius is like a typical average for this time of year for this area. Now, what I've seen in the long range forecast, we're actually going to get some. I wouldn't say a cold front, but below normal seasonal type values. So that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting. I might actually see like 642 Fahrenheit, about 6 Celsius on one of these nights, but that's next weekend. We'll see if how that turns out, and we'll see if I actually get some rain with that too. Hopefully some rain comes with that, and then I won't matter or I won't care so much. But if it just gets cool and it doesn't rain, I'm just gonna be like, really? Because I could definitely use some more rain catch, man. That's for sure. I mean, I didn't really notice how much water I use until until all the plants are out there, right? Because when you just have a few early in the season, right? Uh, water supply seems to last a lot longer. But once you have a full garden of stuff plants and such, you gotta water them eventually, right? So you do have to consume that water. I mean, it's nice to know that I'm using rainwater. Reallocating that water from the rains from like let's say a week and a half ago for today, for example, right? And it kind of buffers out that heat and cool or sunny and rainy type of periods a little bit more. I mean, obviously, I'm not making it like dry out or sunny when it's raining, but when it's sunny out, I can get the plants some water, right? That they need. Preferably in the morning, if not in the evening. But if they need it, they need it, right? Give them some water so the roots stay nice and cool and all that stuff, right? So they have enough water to make it through the day, like today. Yeah, you're at 28 chance. Yeah, that's about 80, 82 Fahrenheit, I believe, give or take. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure 27 Celsius is 80 Fahrenheit. 21 Celsius is 70, and so forth and so forth. I think 24. Yeah, 24. It's weird. I just heard some. Yeah, that's just weird sound. I just heard this weird sound. I was like, anyway. Yeah, and about 24 Celsius is about 75 Fahrenheit. I'm getting better with these conversions lately. A lot more. I think it's because I'm not doing the math per se. There's a mathematical equation to figure out convert Fahrenheit and Celsius and Fahrenheit, but I seem to just know that these kind of whole numbers, right? Or like 50, 60 Fahrenheit, 70 Fahrenheit, kind of deal, and I can kind of guesstimate the rest. I mean, estimate the rest, right? Oh, look at that. Hi! Hi, Iron Fire Horse. How are you doing out? How are you doing? Is it hot out east? Iron Fire Horse? Like I said, I'm supposed to be seeing 30 Celsius today, so I mean, it is June after all. I expect June to see a temperature like this, right? But it would be nice if I saw some rain every so often, because I'm hoping that it'll balance itself back out. Hopefully, probably not, but where I'm getting a nice mix of sunshine and rain, right? Because all the plants out there, the crops and all that stuff, the trees, yeah, it would help if we get a nice balance. More people, anyways. Probably not everywhere, right? Where of rain and sunshine, right? Because it's just like in terms of gardening, all right, the soil. The soil needs water. We all know that. It needs nutrients. We're all familiar with that. But it also needs air too, right? Because you can drown the plants too if there's too much water, right? It's just and such, right? Some plants need well drained water, but all the plants need air in there, the nutrients, the water, and of course the energy, obviously from lights, uh, grow lights or natural sunlight, for example, right? So all those four things, and when all those four things come together very nicely and combine together, they help out the plant, and the plant can just grow. So your sunflower, tomato, whatever kind of plant, beans or whatever, just go, where you just start noticing the growth like literally the next day. It's just like, I think it got greener. I think it got bigger, right? Because for anyone that's like gone away on vacation or whatever, or has, you know, uh, business trip, whatever, right? Camp out, whatever, right? And you're not, oh, you're away from seeing your plants for a couple of days, you notice that a lot more, right? I think this is why lately I've been trying to take pictures or video of the plants, not just for, future or perhaps doing something as for content as a content creator, but that way I can compare it to a couple of days later and be like, oh yeah, it did this one leaf, it did get bigger. It got a, I don't know, half an inch bigger in these 3 days or whatever. Because you might not notice it because you're looking at it in real time, right? But if you have something to compare it to contrast it to, and you'd be like, oh yeah, it is getting bigger, and you notice this picture or video that I shot like 2 weeks ago and compare it to now, it's like, oh yeah, look at that. It is actually like 50% bigger. The leaves are a lot bigger. The leaves are a lot greener and stuff like that. I mean, honestly, I think when you see the flowering part, obviously that's an indication that it's doing pretty well, right? It's coming into that mature reproduction state or fruiting state. I guess for something like tomatoes, for example, right? You see the yellow flowers coming up. It's like, oh yeah, 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 it's doing its thing, right? And you start to notice a lot more. 'Cause at that state, you start to notice the fruit getting bigger, right? So obviously, it's growing or developing. Oh, uh, you're just going those and flowers, yeah. if you if you go camping, you have to take them with you. You know what's funny? I actually took one of my plants with me when I was visiting my friend. One of the small ones, anyways. It's just fun. It's still an ongoing experiment with that green onion. I still actually have it. I'm like, but like I said, that's more of an experiment. I'm saying that feed the world or feed myself with just one green onion, but the idea was just to see how long I can go for it, you know, and such. Some dessert stuff I'm doing is obviously for eating purposes. I'm growing them to eat with for eating. So, I'm not baby them and, give them the water, the nutrients, some sort of fertilizer like compost, for example, right? And hopefully there'll be abundant amounts of like air in the soil around them and gorgeous sunshine. Mm, yeah, yeah. Are you, Jess? That's cool. That's cool. Looking for a new camera? I'm assuming you're looking for a new camera. I mean, you didn't say an icon, but you did say Canon. But anyways, yeah. I'm for first. One of the things I've been looking into is that self-watering. I mean, I want to say if you have drip irrigation or whatever, that's cool and all. But if you don't, then what, right? So I've been trying out a few of these. First, say self-watering things, right? Where you make little holes in the container or whatever, right? I don't know if it's enough. I don't know. Maybe the rate isn't fast enough, but I noticed that it's just like, well, it's holding the water back too much, right? And they also say, you're supposed to soak the ground before you put, let's say, a bottle upside down and with a hole at the bottom, little pinholes at the bottom, right? And it's supposed to last, let's say 72 hours or whatever, right? So if you went away for the weekend, that kind of deal, right? But one of the things is, how am I supposed to do it? How would I do that for a full size garden? It's one thing to do that for like indoor plants. Maybe you have a balcony or a patio of plants, right, or something like that, in containers and stuff like that. But what do you do when you don't have that? When you have way more of garden space? I mean, obviously, it would help if someone came by to help you water, right? Family member or friend, right? But yeah, it could be difficult. The garden, and the still take trips, right? Like I said, hopefully you have someone like a neighbor or something like that to help you water the plants. But when you don't, it's just like, because like I said, no matter how heat tolerant or how drought tolerant a plant is, eventually it does need water. Eventually it's gonna need water, right? And soaking before you leave may buy you maybe a day or two at most. But if you're going for like 5 days or longer, camping out or whatever, it's just like, then what do you do? So hopefully you have a friend or a family member or a neighbor or a coworker or whatever that'll drop by and be like, oh yes, I'll water your plants on your way out, right? You know, or you just tell them, yeah, you don't have to come every day, just come every second day, but when you do, just kind of make sure it's really in the ground, right? Because sometimes I know things like tomatoes, for example, they generally, especially when they're fruiting, is like more consistent watering. Because I think, because from what I've heard is, anything that's splitting the skin is due to too dried and getting too wet. So basically, the skin of the tomato fruit that it's forming can't catch up to the amount of water getting put into the fruit itself. Hence, the skin starts to split because they can't keep up with it and such. And things like blossom end rot can happen too from irregular watering. Hence, that's why I'm a big fan of the mulch now. Whatever you use, right? Straw, hay, grass clippings, wood mulch, whatever. Right? I'm actually even trying to experiment with a different form of mulch, which I've only heard once in a comment section. I've never seen a video on it, but that's why I'm gonna test it, try it out myself, and see. Because if it's up with the tomatoes, it might start helping some other plants, give or take, right? Give or take. Obviously, the amount you put and how close you put it, that depends, right? For something like a tree, you don't need the mulch, right? Pretty much. much, right? Or if you do, it's further away from the trunk, right? Like something like tomatoes, they don't mind having mulch right up to their stem, right? And I've noticed some other plants are like that too. Not every plant, but some of them, right? So I don't mulch everything around everything, but some of the stuff that I know, yeah, it can handle it, or there won't be ill effects or whatever. Yeah, because it does help. Because especially right now for me, it's like I'm coming into the afternoon time out west here, and the temperature's rising. So that mulch kind of covers the ground. Because remember, a lot of the soil that we use is going to be probably darker in color, you know, relatively speaking, right? And of course, like in science, darker colors absorb solar energy or warm up or heat up faster, which also means that the rate of evaporation will be a lot faster too, right? Mulch keeps the soil cooler because it blocks that direct sunlight from reaching. So basically, the heat doesn't penetrate through the ground and cause more of the water to evaporate than necessary, right? It holds that water in the roots a little bit longer, so the roots of the plant can have some water even at the hottest part of the day still, even though you only watered maybe even the night before or in the morning, right? So very convinced about it. Hey, look who's in. Oh, look who it is. It's Howie. Hi. It's Howie from Food Forest Permaculture. How are you doing, Howie? Yeah, Howie, I am convinced about the mold. Yeah, yeah. Like I'm so convinced about it that I convinced my friend to put down mulch. They weren't even gonna do it till like the day after, but I was talking to them like, dude, it's not get to 28 Celsius at that day on that day, right? I'm like, it's sunny, right? So I just put it in there. It'll help in the long run, right? Just get it over with, kind of deal. So they did. They took the 20 minutes or whatever it is. They're like, yeah. I haven't heard back from them for a little bit, but I'm pretty sure they're convinced about it too, because it does help. It does help for many different reasons. So you know, hey, and besides, it might be helping me conserve some water because I don't actually have to water as much, or the water I do put in the ground stays in the ground longer, and I just mysteriously evaporating out into the air already. Because I need the water in the ground with the roots, not in the air. Or just floating around, just waiting to condense out into a cloud somewhere far, far away. What you seen? I don't forest. You gotta transplant two plants. You have two pteropods, and use the heater when camping. You want to get some potting soil. No, okay. Let's see. Yeah. Jeez, has it been an hour already? I did not realize how much time I spent. I'll probably. I don't know. I'm expecting either a phone call or company in a little bit here. So, as an FYI, if I abruptly cut the stream short, you'll know why. But until then, I have a little bit of time. I'll probably try to go for another 30 minutes or so, give or take. But hopefully, we'll see how it all turns out. Really, Chaz? Yes, Kyle. Yes, Victoria. I see you. You're quietly listening. I see. Epsom salt. Okay. Epsom salt's with magnesium, right? It doesn't technically have sodium in it, I believe, right? Uh, hey, Gray. I see you in there. I see you in there. How you doing, Gray? Still doing those walks? Uh, let's see. Did I miss something in there? Mm. Okay, Chaz. Oh wow. Oh wow. Iron Fire. Yeah, yeah. I see how you just dumped that comment into my chat. I'm not even sure. I don't think I actually have that live chat replay available. I gotta double check. I forgot to actually set that up. I think because then, well, obviously I have the live chat available while it's live. I meant the replay. That's what I meant. And speaking of replay, shout out to the replay gang. If you're listening, appreciate everyone taking the time to drop it. Everyone dropping in right now while this is live, and you catching this on the replay. I appreciate you taking the time to drop in and listening to me talk for the last hour, give or take. Oh, and some random comments on screen, and you talked about stuff, so to speak, and some random green talk, so to speak. Oh wow! Oh wow! Iron Force. Ugh. That's kind of not appetizing. Well, thanks for Iron Fires. I feel less hungry now. I appreciate that. I feel less hungry now. I actually feel less hungry now. Nice of you to make me feel less hungry. I appreciate that. Because usually I do get hungry. I'm almost tempted to like make lunch eventually. I'll probably actually do it after the stream, but until then, until then, I'll just have to drink my coffee here. Hmm. I wonder what I would do in that situation, Iron Fire. I don't know. I know Helly's in here. Maybe you can chime in on that too, Holly. What would you do if you're in that predicament, right? Obviously, I'm not in that predicament situation, but just thinking, because it could happen, or if I move or whatever, right? The soil could be different. I was just like, what would you do, right? I guess growing in containers, for example, right? Or if you didn't trust the ground soil, maybe raised beds, I guess, right? Isolate that out as much as possible. Had your own compost in that you know of, or your own personal soil amendments and such, right? Hmm. I mean, I'm glad I'm not in that situation, but it does make you think as such. Because I got to remember everyone's soil everywhere else in the country, on the North American continent, it's way different, right? You know, like not just the pH level of it, right? But the clay, the silt, and sand, right? I know some people have more of this, or not everyone has loamy soil, right? And then again, not everyone can also buy like a bunch of compost, a bunch of topsoil and dirt, and import in a bunch of dirt, right? And stuff like that. I mean, I'm trying to increase the fertility of the soil, I guess, right? Quote unquote. Been chopping and dropping. Well, yeah, I guess technically my spring prep, uh, uh, what did I name it again? Yeah, spring prep work video, right? I guess that's technically chopping and dropping. More like dicing and dropping it in, but increasing the surface area does allow the microbes and all the insects and the fungi and the protozoas and all that stuff to kind of separate it even faster, because it's because I've increased the surface area dramatically, right? And it reduces that time that it takes for it to, per se, break down, right? But like I said, I mean, I got like up to 6 months of winter here, so I need a little bit of boost every so often, because I know that breaking down of the stuff in the ground during the wintertime, it's gonna be slow, because the bacteria is not active in it. If I remember right, because the fungi or yeah, the fungi like will will take over, but the bacteria won't break it down because it's very well. It's just simply too cold, right? They become inert or stop or slow down. If I remember right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I gotta figure. Yeah, exactly. Hashtag pathway soil bank. Make it soil for free. What else do I see there? No, I don't think so. Welcome. Okay, okay, Janice. But yeah, CNC farms are not here. I didn't see them. Welcome, by the way. First. Okay. Oh, that's flat. I'm just reading what I'm for says. Yeah, yeah, which you guys all read that, yeah. Yeah, it must be something like that, Iron Power Force. Yeah. Well, I mean, let's remember a thing called anything that burns releases CO carbon. It's just the way it is, right? Because the carbon's locked in the wood, right? As it's grown, right? Burning it liberates it to the air, right? And when it does rain, it mixes in the water will mix in with that CO2 amongst other things and fall as slightly acidic rain, right? Acid rain, you know. And now remember, rainwater is slightly acidic because of the carbon in the air, right? And the CO2 in the air, the carbon dioxide in the air, right? Wherever if it's much higher of a concentration with smoke, then that falls to the ground too. So I know expert in that, but you know, I mean, if it rains hard enough, honestly, and pours, then maybe it might wash it all the way out from the sky or from the air. But I mean, there's other things that fall out with your on your roofs or gutters into your rain barrel too, right? Like pollen, for example, right? And that little yellowish stuff. Yeah, I haven't actually noticed that yet. I'll probably notice it this month, especially if it rains, right? Where I actually see the top of the water catchment just has this little specks of yellow from the pollen, right? I mean, yeah. Okay, take care, Howie. Appreciate taking the time to drop in, my friend. Well, yeah, that's another thing too, right? It reduces the amount of sunlight, direct sunlight they can. Well, because it diffuses it more, so it's not as direct. I mean, there's other things too, right? I mean, the air quality, the amount of sunlight hitting the ground is different and such. Stuff like solar ignition is different, the efficiency of it and stuff like that. I mean, it's not as dramatic as like cloud cover, like storm cloud cover, but it's also not clear, right? So you don't get basically it's more the diffused type of light. Hence, you probably won't see a hard shadow on the ground, right? Probably people, let's say people in some of those places right now that are fairly hazy. Let's say New York City, for example, right? Some of the pictures you might have seen and stuff like that. You're probably not seeing really hard shadows on the ground, right? Because the sunlight's more diffused, so it's scattered a lot more and such. Man, man, I need to brush up on on some of that stuff. I feel like such a noob at it right now, trying to think of it. Mm. Yeah, I imagine so. I imagine so. Well, because usually the amount of rain is probably different too. The dryness, the heat, the amount of sunlight, and things that fall with the rain as it dissolves with the rain out of the sky and such. I mean, like I said earlier, I mean, hopefully some of you, if are hopefully will in time get more of a balance of you know heat and rain, right? 'Cause right now, looks like we probably could use a little bit more rain, in my opinion, in some places, or in a lot more places right now. I know some people were saying that they didn't haven't received rainfall in like weeks, maybe even a month. I was lucky enough to get some like 2 weeks ago, but I mean now water catchment is kind of, in terms for irrigation purposes, gardening purposes, is kind of running dry metaphorically. You know, you know, where I'm noticing, oh, that container's empty now. All right, it's just like I mean, I still got some for the next couple of days at least, but for the weekend at least, but you know, it would be nice if I could just dip into rainwater more often. I remember this one year where I just literally used rainwater the whole season, the whole gardening season, or almost the whole gardening season. There might have been like 6 days that I did, but that was nice. That was nice, and things grew quite nicely. I mean, I'm not saying things don't grow nicely when I don't get that, but it's just kind of nice to know that I'm reallocating the rains into the soil, into the ground, the plants, the roots, and all that stuff. The next day, the day after, the week after, right? And reallocating that water, and so that high amount of water on that one day, I'm just kind of buffering it, leveling it back out with the days that I don't get water, right? If that makes any sense, right? I've actually seen people. I had this talk to one of my friends last night. Yeah, last night I was going for a walk. And I saw them, right. They were just out with the kid and just outside. They were watering it. Now this is like 9, almost 10 o'clock, right? Very late, right? Sun's pretty much has gone down, right? And they were just kind of watering, right? We were just talking about that, about watering and such, right? And I think it's I believe that watering in the day should be avoided as much as possible. Not because you'll burn the plants or these little tiny drops will create a magnifying effect or whatever, right? That that I don't believe in so much. But the evaporating from the ground, that I do believe in, right? Because right now, midday, if I water, I'm probably going to lose much of the water to evaporation before it has a chance to soak in the ground. So hence watering early in the morning outside that main sun time, right? Midday sun, right? Is probably usually better. And we were just talking about that because I've seen people water. I'm like, I'm going for a walk at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, like someone's watering. Maybe they're bored or whatever, but I'm just like, I mean, each one to their own, right? They're the one that's using the water or paying for it or whatever, right? I try not to water during the day as much as possible, right? I mean, if the plants desperately need it, like it's totally bone dry and they can't wait till evening, yeah, that's one thing. But if there's still some moisture in the ground or whatever, right? You do that finger test or whatever under the soil, feel for dampness or coolness, right? If it's a little lower than you would like, right? I might wait until the evening or until the next morning, right? But if it's totally bone dry, well, honestly, you got to give it some water. And also, you can't control afternoon showers and stuff like that, right? Hmm. Yeah, yeah, exactly, right. The reduced visibility. It's almost like fog. Hence, you know, smoke plus fog, smog is a thing, right? It heavily reduces visibility, and because of that, it reduces the amount of light, direct sunlight, so it's more diffused, which also means it reduces visibility, right? I mean, yeah. So if you're on a highway or whatever, you may reduce your speed a tad, just a tad, right? Let's see here. What you want for? Yeah, it'd be yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Iron fires, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, as much as possible, right? As much as possible, right? I mean, even transplanting, they say try to do it in the shade or early in the morning or later in the evening, outside the main part of the day. Now, I will say those tomato plants that I've shown that 51-minute clip that I showed where I didn't actually show the transplant of it, I just showed the before and after kind of. Well, one of them, that's one of the tomato plants was so leggy. I was really concerned that the stem was not break because it was starting to fall, right? That's why I wanted to plant them in the ground right away because I felt like I had no choice. You couldn't wait, right? Now, what you didn't see in that video was I actually used an umbrella to cover the ground while I was doing it, right? And trying to until I got them into the ground with more water and supported it with mulch around them, right? I mean, they're doing fine now. Don't get me wrong. There'll be an update video, by the way, soon again because I'm recording it and editing it. But okay, so yeah, try not to, right? Try to transplant outside the midday sun on the hardest part of the day, right? And if you do, try to create some shade for it in the meantime, right? An umbrella, whatever, right? Just so not only to keep you cool, so slow down that transplant shock, right? Because also, the roots are exposed around when you're transplanting, right? I mean, obviously watering it beforehand and such, right? Eh, it's just ways to reduce that chance of transplant shock as much as possible, and so you notice the growth right away versus it having to adjust to it again. So yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right. You can't just let them fade away, and yeah. I mean, that's why I had to. I didn't have a choice. I'm like because if what I've been saying to my other friend, right, on the water plants, if the stem breaks, it's game over for that plant, right? It's done, right? It's one thing if the leaves or whatever, or maybe parts of the root, but if the main stem is done, is broken or snapped or whatever, because of whatever, it's done. Because I noticed it on this one tomato plant that I was looking at, right? I was just like, oh, I can't, I don't think I can wait another day or until the evening. So I did it, okay, at 11 o'clock in the morning. It's closer to noon. Okay, not exactly the best time to transplant, but I should have did it earlier at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning, even 9. But I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna be able to handle the rest of the day. Because, like I said, if that stem broke on it or like started to rip or whatever, it's game over for that plant, right? It's probably not gonna be able to survive the rest of the time, or let alone handle a transplant later. So I made that judgment call on that, right? So it's just one of those things. Sometimes you just gotta use your own best judgment, right? I mean, those things they say about watering or whatever or transplanting, those are best practices, I would say, right? Try to follow along, right? Water in the morning, evening, transplant in the morning, in the evening, outside main days, prime time sun or midday sun, right? Or on cloudy days or something like that. But if you have to, because you don't have a choice anymore, well, that's where you bring in an umbrella, like I did for a little bit of time, right? And hopefully it would still work. I actually tried that chance. I swear the bottle didn't get any short. The water level didn't drop overnight. I was looking, even if it dropped like a half an inch or a centimeter, I would have been fine with it, but I didn't notice it. So I'm like, is it actually doing it? Right? Because one of the things about those things, right, especially if you per se make it, you're gonna make sure it works before you leave. You want to test it out and make sure it's actually doing it, or how long a 2 liter can last you 3 days or 72 hours, for example, or at least you would know and not assume it's not work and not just build it and not test it and just leave for 3 days and come back to like something that's not really liking the heat because the soil is dried out and the amount of water dripping out isn't enough to overcome the dryness, right? So it's one of those things. Oh, dang, Gurney. Good, you're okay. Yeah, I understand. But dang. Yeah, yeah, exactly, or something like that. Yeah, gravity feed, uh, siphon, stuff like that, if possible. Oh, I bet they are. I bet they are. Oh, I see you in there, Bob. I see you in there. I didn't miss you in there. What's up, Bob? It's Bob 942. Echo, echo, echo. How are your plants doing, Bob? Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you're getting both rain and sunshine. Like I said, that balance, right? Because you can't just have sunshine the whole time, and you can't just have rain the whole time, right? Because if you have too much rain, things flood out, water soaked through, and all that stuff. And if it's just sunny the whole time, right, you get irrigated, or it's too dry, or you per se, quote unquote, burn the plants or whatever, right? So hopefully you're getting a nice balance of both, right? You can add water when it's sunny, right? It's kind of hard to dry things out or add more light in when it's cloudy or raining, but hopefully you're at once in both. Hopefully. Okay, use a glass bottle then. Okay. Come on. Trying to hide that here. Oh, okay. You're having coffee chilling? Yeah. Oh. Cheers to that, Bob. Cheers to that. Yeah. I was talking to my friend who just put it in some new perennials and amongst other things, right? And they're using weed barrier and stuff like that, right? And they're like, I can't believe I did so much work. See, I probably did more than you. I'm like, yeah, because I did all the kind of during the spring prep work I did earlier. I did all that digging and all this other stuff earlier, pruning or whatever earlier. Right now, my only objective really is to just keep the plant watered, I guess, right? Maybe every so often prune or weed out something if necessary or remove something if necessary, right? But pretty much it's the watering. That's the highest priority right now, right? The sunlight's available, the nutrients are in the ground because I added compost earlier in the season or like right now, but watering is just something I actually continuously have to do. And every so often I have to prune just because the growth or whatever, or remove some dead leaves off of them, or kind of less than stellar, right? Trying to maintain the health of the plant as much as possible. Where it's like, what? Everyone, it's nice and dark green. It has a nice green color to it. It's not this like yellowish color. Where the leaves are nice and perky. Yes, I just used the word perky. But yeah, where they're nice and perky, right? Because I've been noticing that every so often. I've been noticing that, right? Where maybe the transplant, let's say of a plant or whatever, was kind of on the yellowish, just slightly green side. Now I've noticed since a couple of weeks later, it's nice and dark green. The leaves. I'm like, oh yeah, it handled the transplant. And it's actually, um, it's prospering, or well, it's doing great anyway. Right? So I'm like, yes. I just gotta maintain that and hopefully get some flowers and get some fruit out of it and have a good season with it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've had some mishaps on the gardening stuff too, like anyone else, right? If it's not some sort of pest or whatever, it's something else, right? Where, you have little saplings coming out and they get bent, stepped on, chewed, broken off, birds hits it, or some wild animal steps on it, or whatever the case may be, right? Something like that, or consumes it, right? But like I said, in that, this is not this. What did I name it? So not awesome video that I did, right? Sometimes that's why you grow more, right? That's why you grow more than just one or two plants. Sometimes you have a lot more, right? So you have kind of like backups and you batch it in a certain degree so it staggers that development a little bit more. So your harvest at the end of the season or whatever doesn't just come all at once, right? It's staggered over days and weeks, right? That way you have harvest over that time instead of all at the same time, right? Where then you have to either consume it right away or preserve it or dehydrate it, freeze dry, whatever, right? Can it, all that stuff right away. So it gives you a little bit more time to work with. I mean, especially for a lot of us that may go on vacation, road trips, visit people, right? Go camping too, right? It's nice to know that you can still do that stuff and still garden. And hopefully have someone that stays behind or a neighbor or a friend that waters it for you, right? Because I can imagine is how hard it would be without that. I mean, I guess you can get like drip irrigation and stuff like that. Obviously, that costs money and power, but if you got that, then that's. I mean, I guess that would be so bad if I had a smaller garden area, but I have so much of it. It's just like it would just be a lot more than I think. I mean, if you were just in containers or whatever, I guess that'd be all good. Anyways, I just went on a tangent there, did I? You're still quietly listening. Okay, okay, okay. I know. It's your thing. No, you're watching it on the PS4. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Iron Fire Horse. Yeah. I mean, you're gonna make that judgment call, right? Hopefully, you would time it well, because sometimes gardening is like all about timing, right? Like germination rate, germination time, how long it takes, and all that stuff, right? Especially if you're trying to do like companion or mutual type of planting stuff, or stuff like that. Yeah, what's that called? The pre-sisters and stuff like that, right? The timing of it, right? Hence, doing some research or having an experience about how long it takes something to germinate or grow, or how high it grows in a certain amount of time would be nice to know, right? If you didn't know that beforehand, you can still research it, or if you've done it before, you kind of gauge, oh yeah, it grows about 1 foot, but it takes 2 weeks. So that's something I'm trying to get better at, is gauging the time it takes for it, give or take, for the season, right? Where on average it takes about this long to grow a foot, give or take, right? Because I know as the plants get bigger, obviously there's more leaves, right? Foliage and stuff like that. So obviously it can gather more solar energy. So it does get bigger in the same amount of time compared to when it's younger, but because it's younger, it has less leaves, right? So because that's one of those things I have to figure out, learn about. I see art flowers. Let's go, Chaz. Okay. Okay, Chaz. Let's see. Let's see. Time here. I think, unless otherwise stated, I think I'll go for till the bottom of the hour here for about 6 more minutes here on the stream, because I just realized I need to actually take care of people. Like I said, I need to return a phone call, and I'm supposed to be expecting company, and I don't think they want to wait for me. It's like, see, are you streaming again? Yes, yes. Ah, hurry up. Right. I'm trying to time, just like the plants, time what I'm doing today nicely. Yeah, so about 10 more minutes, give or take. It'll be that standard 2 minute timer warning, like I usually give for the stream, as much as possible. I mean, this year I feel like I've been learning a little bit more about gardening overall, and that's just because I'm doing it, but trying stuff out, right? Trying even new stuff out that I had never tried before personally, anyways, to grow, right? And learning about it. And some things that you may not really notice in videos or pictures at times is like the growth cycle, or what it looks like at different parts of its growth life cycle, I should say, right? So this is a seed. This is what it looks like, the baby leaves. This is what it looks like after it's germinated and gets the true leaves. You get to see how the leaf structure is. Maybe it's more rounded, like sunflower, but then there's our pointy ones like a pepper. Then there's our look like a fork or whatever, like a tomato or whatever, something like that, right? And everything in between, right? Yeah, marigolds and all that. I'm trying to get better at that as much as possible. Trying to identify the plants, right? Yes, there's apps for that or whatever. You can ask people and stuff like that. But it would be nice to actually be able to do it without that kind of stuff, without Googling it, right? Where it's actually knowledge in my head, because I'm familiar with the structure, or I've seen it long enough, right? I know what it looks like. It's just like, oh, yeah, that's not a weed. It's just your air plant. Oh, okay, right, and stuff like that. So I'm trying to get better at that part of it, right? A little bit more. I mean, I don't have a green thumb. I'm just developing it. Well, there are people that join me. They definitely have way more of a green thumb than I'll probably ever have. But I'm slowly learning a little bit more, so to speak, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, season by season, year by year, right? And gradually add to that knowledge bank and apply that knowledge, and hopefully gain experience for it because I'm actually doing it, and then develop a green skill or a gardening skill or something like that, where I'm not just, I just don't have the, I'm just storing the seeds, everyone, to, no, 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 I'm actually using the seeds, practicing, seeing how they grow, right? their germination rate. Right? How long they even take, right? 7 days, for a couple of days, 2 weeks. Because I know some plants take longer to develop and such. They take longer to germinate, or they take longer in their growth cycle and stuff like that. The seed size and stuff like that. I mean, some of the bigger seeds now, I actually soak them just just to help it along, right? Just for like an hour or so, right? Just to soften up the outer shell of it. I've been doing that with the sunflowers now, right? Because originally didn't do that, but now, yeah, it does actually kind of help, right? It just softens the shell up a little bit more and kind of such. You don't have to, but it just gonna. It might buy you. I mean, buy you. It save you a day or two at most, right? So you get that germination. You can see it germinating beforehand, or like I said, the shell will get soft, so it's easier for it to sprout from that because obviously it's a soft shell now, right? Okay. I'm forward. Maybe not this year, but maybe in time I will. I'm trying to do these other things, but I'm like I said, I'm taking baby steps in it. I don't want to overwhelm myself too heavily. Okay, Janice, I see that in there. I see that in there too. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Oops, I'll keep that in mind. Okay. Most of your old library is digital PDF. PDF stands for horrible document format, by the way. I'm trying to remember the acronyms, what things actually stand for. And besides, acronyms got CR in it anyway. I mean, I've come up with my own acronyms. I have a few more, and hopefully I'll have a few more after that too. Yeah, I do have acronyms for that too that I came up with. Every so often I say them in my streams or videos or side chat or panels or whatever, or discussions or talks. I just feel like I should actually go longer on the stream. Okay. 3 minutes. Okay, a few more minutes, and there will be a 2 minute warning. I see. On your first, I see. Yeah, see, that's why I'm trying to grow things I want to consume or use as much as possible, right? Like I said, because I'm starting to like try stuff out, right? Try things that are less known and stuff like that, less information about, right? And see for myself, right? I mean, I'm not saying I'm being a guinea pig when it comes to stuffing, but relatively speaking, right? Relatively speaking, someone else has done something similar, right? I'm just trying it out in my own area where I am right now here in Canada and trying to apply that knowledge. So instead of just watching gardening videos, reading forums about it, reading comments about stuff, I'm actually gonna gain the experience by actually doing and getting third time and kind of merging or combining the knowledge, the skill, and the experience together as something, right? And come up with something. Insert word, insert words, and insert more words that I can't pick up. But I think you guys and gals know what I mean about that. See, Iron Fire Horse. Well, maybe Iron Fire Horse. Maybe I'll send you. Maybe I'll send you a sneak peek on something over on the IG side. I'll send you. Actually, I will. I will probably send you stuff. I know. I know some of you have seen some of the other stuff I've been posting over there. Speaking of which, that remind that reminds me. I need to actually stream over there one of these days. I keep forgetting about doing it. I've only done it once, twice actually. One tester, and I think one was kind of official. I just I just have to because you have to schedule at least an hour in advance, supposedly. So I guess if I have a lot more time and schedule time in advance, I'll do it. I've been thinking about it again. Can I give some time to my followers over on IG? Not saying you guys here on the YouTube side aren't special too, right? My subscribers over here. I appreciate everyone that's been dropping by and checking out not just the shorts, the videos, the live streams, right? But leaving me some comments, some constructive comments, some comments that really indicate that they watched it because how specific it is. It's like a paragraph. And some of them I still have to answer, and of course the gracious thumbs up and all that stuff. Hmm, I see there. Yeah, yeah, enough said, right? I remember, yeah. But yes, I do appreciate. Yeah, you know, that reminds me. Someone wanted to give me some plants. I'm like, I can't. Are you're gonna grow them in a container? Because I don't have the garden space now, right? Like, because I do have bare spots, but I know it's not get filled up with the stuff I currently have in there, right? This is one of the other things that I've been trying to do is container gardening. I think I'm gonna have to try it again next year, and hopefully in the years to come, and hopefully get better at it. Or hopefully maybe I'll try stuff out like I said, and hopefully I'll get it on first try. Beginner's luck, right? That's always nice thing, you know. First timers luck and all that stuff, right? And like I said earlier, I do appreciate you all taking time to drop in here. I guess I am giving that 2 minute warning on the stream here, so 2 minutes left on the stream here. I like to give a slight, just so everyone can say something on the way out, say their see guys and all that good stuff, right? So, hmm. I'm kind of speechless right. I didn't plan anything for this last 2 minutes of the stream, by the way. So I do appreciate you all dropping by, though. Regardless, right? I appreciate it. Some of you I haven't seen in a while. Some of you I've seen like 2 days ago, or last week, or like 5 minutes ago. Right? So I do appreciate you all dropping in and all that good stuff. You know. You guys keeping me motivated, keeping me going, and all that stuff. Just random and just don't put this on the screen here. And then I figure I'll just put this in too while I'm at it. And and of course, I really should actually make this actually a thing and not just a green screen version. I don't usually say this a lot. Blah blah blah. If you haven't already, do this thing already where you click on it and it goes and ed. One of these two. This is just something old I had. Yeah, yeah. It was nice to catch up with you too, Iron Fire Horse. Anyways, folks, so go out there, learn something new, discover what's possible. All right, you guys can all do so much more, as in make our reality effective kind of more. That's an acronym I came up with, right? Uh, yes, and enjoy stuff and laugh out loud every so often and have a great day. just like Iron Fire Horse and everyone else in this chat here. And I'm just rambling along because it's what I do. Continuously rambling, just like the CR in it. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe with a CR in it. And actually, I think I will actually put this one in. There's that one. So everyone, our world is changing around us. So we need to adapt to. Skill and knowledge can get better if you practice it. Can't help everyone. But you can help someone out there. Alright, everyone. I will catch you all next time. Appreciate everyone dropping by. Later, Bob, Iron Fire Horse. Everyone else that came by. Howie, Mel, Gray, and the rest of ya out there. I'll catch you all next time. Take care. Stay safe. And keep creating something awesome out there. Because you guys are awesome too. Take care, everyone. Later.